a really fun part of the program here where we talk about, it's a little trick that I came up with. I couldn't really think of a name. I could call it the phone call, but that doesn't have much of a cachet to it. So I'm calling it the move. And it's really simple. It's actually just making a phone call. But the magic that comes out of making the move is amazing. And so I just want to encourage you, when we make a move, when we make the move, oftentimes the reason we're calling it the move is that when you apply for a job online, you're getting in line. It's kind of like if you went down to the disco and you got in line to go into the disco and there's 75 or 85 people there in line, and you're going down and you're hoping when you get there that the bouncer says yes or no, or yeah, let's take a look, or come on in, or they say no, we don't want you, and they push you away. You didn't really have a whole lot to say, but the move is kind of the way I say, just kind of go around the bouncer and you just kind of walk in the back door. And I'm just going to give you permission to pick up the phone and go right around the applicant tracking system, go right around applying uselessly online, and use the move to have an interview or to start a conversation with the people that you want to have a conversation with. Now, most companies, that's what I call the hiring manager, the person that has the decision to say, yes, you're hired, no, not quite now. Or it could be a recruiter that is working at the company. If it's a larger firm, they may have an internal recruiter, and you can just call them up and say, hey, my name's Pat and I'd be interested. I've applied online, or I'm just curious. I am an entry-level engineer and I'm looking for my first job here in the Atlanta area. I was just curious if I could talk to you for a few minutes about some of my skill sets and the things that I bring to the table. So the move is an amazing thing. Most people think it's old school. It's like, you just don't call people up. And I go, oh, yeah, you do. And so the way I encourage people to use the move is when you are doing your connections on LinkedIn and you get someone that connects with you and says, yes, I'll connect with you. Well, what I encourage people to do is just think of that as a virtual handshake, that they've shaken your hand online, kind of in the ether or whatever, that they were there, they saw you and your title and how you were presenting yourself, and you just hit apply. You hit connect, apply, or to connect to them, and they say, yeah, he looks like a nice guy, and they collect back. Then you're connected on LinkedIn. So it's a virtual handshake. The move is the next step where you're going to move your relationship from strictly being online to a very simple, hey, I just want to have a phone call conversation. Now, if you're doing it with the hiring manager, this is the cool part, is because you may see, as you know, as we talked about before, when you apply online, your resume goes over here into the recruiter's applicant tracking system. It just becomes one of 1,000. You're sitting in line. You're no way you're ever going to get noticed. But the move automatically moves your resume from somewhere in that big stack to top of stack because you're getting noticed. And remember, on these days of online applications, it's really hard to get noticed. So the move is going to at least get you noticed. So what I encourage people to do is once someone's connected with you on LinkedIn, you may give it an hour or so, maybe 2 hours, and then you just go, okay. You look up their phone number on the company website and you see what it says, Joe Smith, and the office for Atlanta or wherever town you're in, and you just say, okay, that's the phone number. You call it up, and again, you do like we talked about. You just say, hey, it's Joe there. And what you want to do is do it as if he's your best friend. So just think of your best friend, but you're using the hiring manager's name. You just say, hey, is Joe there? And they go, oh, Joe Smith. And they're like, oh, yeah, sure. But that little pause, if you say, hey, is Joe there? Yeah, Joe Smith. That little pause makes them think that you know them. And so they're like, oh, okay. And about 80 to 90% of the time, they'll put you right through. So then when you get there, usually two things happen. Either Joe picks up the phone or you're going to leave a voicemail. Either way, it starts off about the same. So let's say it goes straight to voicemail. You just read your script, your phone script that you're going to have printed out. Hey, my name's Tom. I just graduated from Georgia Tech. I've got a degree in civil engineering. I just graduated. I'm looking for the first step in my career. And we connected on LinkedIn, and I just wanted to let you know I'm interested in talking with you about a possible opportunity either at your firm or perhaps you know someone I should talk to. I have skills in X, Y, and Z and would love to hear from you. Please give me a call back at 770-555-1212. Click. You've left your voicemail, and that's a big step. Because I know for some people, especially maybe in the younger crowd, you think, I shouldn't call them, they're busy. Or they don't want to hear from me. And you know, you're making an assumption. The assumption is they're too busy or they don't want to hear from you. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is make that phone call. And I know it takes a little bit of courage, and if you feel nervous, you're doing it right. Okay? Let's say the secretary or the receptionist puts you through to the person, and he picks up and he goes, hey, it's Joe. And you go, hi, my name's Tom. And you start off and you say, my name's Tom. I'm an entry-level engineer. I'm looking for work in the Atlanta area. We connected earlier on LinkedIn. I was curious if you might know someone I should talk to. I'm looking for my first job out of school. And they go, really? Tell me about it. Tell me about yourself. The interview just started. The interview with the decision maker just started. Think about it. When you hit apply, you're like, oh dear Lord, please have somebody call me. When you do the move, you take your career in your own hands and you're reaching out to the decision maker. You're telling them a little bit about yourself, and then they say, tell me more. The interview just started, and it's so cool, and that's why I love the move, is because first of all, you got noticed, and then they might go, oh, really? And so they learn more about who you are, and then they decide, you know what? I didn't even think about it, but I've got a role that just came open. Susie left on vacation or maternity leave, and then her husband said, hey, we need to move across the United States to Seattle. I've got to roll right down the hallway, and I hadn't even thought about it, but you'd be great. It happens. It just happens. I was talking to a friend of mine a couple of months ago, and when he first got out of school, he said, I decided to move to Knoxville, Tennessee. He didn't know a soul. He did the move, but instead of making a phone call, he went into the building where he was supposed to look, and he couldn't find the company. He saw on the name it said engineering, so he went up to the 7th floor, walked in, there was nobody there, no receptionist or anything. He did the move, except using a phone. He just walked in and kind of walked around and knocked on the door and said hello, and they were, hey. And he said, I'm just new in town. I've got a degree in this, and I noticed y'all were here, and I just wanted to see, I'm looking for a job. And they were like, really? And they said, tell us about yourself. Boom, the interview just began. He talks for them for about 8 to 10 to 15 minutes, and they're like, we like you. You need to apply formally. He landed the job. Now, it was kind of completely by accident, but he was prepared to have a conversation, an interview, just by walking around. So the move can either be done, and more often than not, you do it with your cell phone. And you just simply call the people up, make the move, and show up. And when you show up, you're automatically separating yourself from 10,000 other people, 1,000, or maybe 10,000 people who apply online. And you go, are you just making that up? And I go, no. I've posted over a couple of hundred jobs on Indeed over 10 years. And what I found is that I'll put my company name at the bottom, and so anybody who applies for one of my jobs, it's real easy to find who it is. There's only a small company. I'm the president, and I put my phone number on my LinkedIn profile. But I tell you, over the years, even though I've had tens of thousands of people apply, I've maybe only had a handful of people who just called up and said, hey, I applied for a job. Can you tell me if I'm a fit or not? And I go, oh, yeah, sure, and I look them up, and I go, oh, well, tell me about yourself. Boom. For them, the job interview just started. and they're talking to a recruiter about a specific job. And so they took their name off of the list somewhere down, the 15th or 20th job down below. They moved themselves to the top. They got noticed. They had a discussion. I gave them a little bit of feedback, and I said, I'll let you know if my client is interested. The move absolutely works. It works, it works, it works. Now, so many people have talked to me and said, oh, that's old school. You don't call people up or they're busy. No, that's the way you get a job. And see, remember we talked about in the course, we're talking about how to quickly build a professional network around the firms that you want to talk to. The move just takes it from a connection online, and people are on LinkedIn. Okay, they're eating their soup or something. Oh, somebody applied. Okay, I'll hit yes. It takes it from that I don't really know this person to I'm having a conversation with this person. Oh, they're interested in a job, and you don't come right out and say, "Can I have a job?" You don't do that. You don't put them on the spot. You say, do you know someone? I'm applying for work. I'm looking here in the Atlanta area. I've heard great things about your firm. Do you know someone I should talk to? And they might go, no, I don't know anybody. And you say, okay, well, great. Well, would it be okay to stay in touch? And they're like, sure, no problem. You say, thanks so much, and you hang up. Now, you can text them and say, thanks for the conversation. You could DM them on LinkedIn. Or you could even send them a brief note or an email. All of those things are kind ways of saying, thank you for joining my network and taking your network from just being a connection on LinkedIn to being a real relationship. So that's the move. I guarantee you it works. It works day after day after day. And my students are loving the move. And it does take courage to pick up the phone and call a complete stranger. But that's the way that you're going to get to yes. Yes, you're interviewed. Yes, you get hired by doing the move. So it may be a little bit of old school, but you combine that with all the other things that we've taught you in this course, and it's going to get you your first interview. So good luck using the move. I'm excited about it. I know you're going to enjoy it. And leave a comment below about how the move helped you in your job search. So that's it for now. Let's take the next step in the next video.